What is going on out there, peeps? All right, let's have that hard talk. You know, the thing is, in any investment or any kind of real serious subject on YouTube, you get these people that are so devoted to whatever the subject is. When you try to talk in detail about the subject, and if it doesn't line up with their belief systems, they just lose their freaking mind. It's really not necessary. So we're going to have the talk, and I'm going to show you some great things you need to know about the Iraqi dinar, okay? So let me help you out, and this is going to help you with all the naysayers. First, you guys know if you're going to invest in crypto or cryptocurrency, good Lord, if you're going to invest in precious metals, give a consideration to our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer in Puerto Rico or United States and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free half ounce of silver. We love free silver. You guys know now I have Pimpy's news network on there. I posted some videos this morning. I posted a video. I shared a great strategy on how to handle your cryptocurrency, how to invest it, fairly wisely, how you should handle it. So I shared that video. It's in that group down there, or it's in that platform. So I encourage you guys to go check it out. Remember, all proceeds are for finding life's purpose. All right. So I did a video last night explaining to people that the platform only allows you to hold so many videos on there, and people are like, "Oh, what the hell? You paid a $3, blah blah blah." No, the thing is this. You can store a lot of videos on there, but not like a ton. You guys see my library. I have, at one time I had over 1,200 videos on YouTube. YouTube allows you to store on there to your heart's content. The same with library. So most all my older videos are on library, even the ones that were on the hidden things in front of your eyes. This platform, though, only lets you hold so much. So I took I haven't done it yet, but the older Nicera Jacera videos, they're still on library, but I also put them on this platform so you guys can have some other things to watch as well. So what I'm saying is to make room, not that I'm out of space, just so I don't run out of space, I'm going to remove the Nicera Jacera and try to keep more current content on this particular page and videos that I haven't shared yet and that I won't share on YouTube. So that's what I was talking about, all right? So yeah, the Nicera Jacera videos are there for you guys to watch before I remove them. But keep in mind, they're also on library. Library's free. You can go over there. But some of the videos that I'm putting on this platform are not on YouTube. And one of them I shared this morning. You guys know we support our friends over at Wall Street Silver, both their YouTube page and their Reddit page. The links are down below in the description. Show them some love. You guys make sure you watch out for the fake Pimpy. When I post something, there'll be a dark circle around my name. The fake person won't have that, and I won't be sending you to WhatsApp. I notice now they have ITM Trading posted underneath us. That is Lynette Zhang's company. That's fake. Just like me, she's not going to be sending you over to WhatsApps. All right? All right. So let's get into the questions that often come up with the IQD. So this person, InfoSeeker, sent a great question, and I responded. It's a question for you, Pimpy. If the dinar rate is a false program rate, why are they devaluing it at all? If the true value is $3+, why would a small devaluation even matter? Why not just stay at 1,190 dinars for every US $1 until it's time to RI or RV? Am I making any sense here? And I say, yeah, you're making great sense, to be quite honest with you. And as a person that's investing into things, you should ask good questions. And those include the hard ones that people might not want to hear. So I said, sure, it makes great sense. I'm not sure where the story came that it's a false rate. I've heard it before, by the way. I says, my guess it stems from the currency being devalued once the U.S. attacked Iraq. Once one country usually invades another, the currency is usually devalued to keep the invading country from stealing the country's wealth. In all fairness, the IQD was devalued under Bush when Americans were engaged, were devalued under Bush And then Americans were encouraged, I should have put two, it's not top, were encouraged to invest in Iraq. And so, and this included their currency. So people automatically assumed what happened in Kuwait's currency would happen to the IQD. We all make that comparison. We say, hey, remember what they did when Iraq invaded Kuwait? They devalued their currency, yes. And then when it was over with, they revalued it back to where it is. So everybody makes that comparison. See, this is the thing. There's no guarantee that will happen to the currency. I'm talking about the IQD. It was greatly devalued from one of the richest countries in the world. And so it makes sense that the IQD will increase in value. This is my opinion and my opinion only. Now, whether all of that is done at one time through an RI or an RV or done in increments is another story. So now I'm going to give you all the evidence that makes the case for the fact that, one, the Iraqi dinar itself is not a scam. Two, that yes, the Iraqi dinar will increase in value. I'm going to show you this. So I'm going to start off with what we call the hurt and heal method. Hurt and heal is when you hit you with the bad news first and then heal you with all the great news. This is how it works. So let's start off with the ugliness. Here you go. Alabama. Now this comes from 2014, this article. Alabama Securities Commission issues investor alert addressing Bitcoin and Iraqi dinar. The Alabama Security Commission released an investment alert statewide on March 12, 2014 in response to a news agency's investigation. So it will specifically address investments in the dinar as well as Bitcoin, okay? So the news continued our investigation into the dinar with a special report that aired on Friday, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We put claims used to promote the Iraqi dinar as a great investment or a good investment to the test. Are these claims legit or are investors being misled? So let's find out. So this just goes on to give you a little bit of who they are in the alerts. So it's over here. It says the Alabama Securities Exchange or Securities Commission receives numerous inquiries about exotic sounding high yield investment opportunities that in many cases are revealed to be unregistered investors touted by unlicensed individuals who employ vague and unrealistic trading strategies. Okay, the IQD has been part of that. That is the truth. People have used the Iraqi dinar to commit a lot of fraud. It says the Iraqi dinar investment opportunity is a scam. That's what they say. That was, and then what they're talking about that is a scam is not the currency. They're trying to say this investment opportunity that is being pushed to potential investors is a scam. So don't screw them up. You see, the currency is real, so it can't be a scam. Investing into the Iraqi dinar is not a scam. The way the Iraqi dinar is being promoted is what people are using. They're using the IQD to scam people. It's the way it's being promoted. That's the scam. I'll show you what I'm talking about. The Iraqi dinar investment opportunity is a scam that has existed for more than a decade, that's since 2014, and has regained some of its former popularity, as with many foreign exchange currencies trading frauds. Okay, it says the dinar investment opportunity is often pitched as a can't-miss method by which an interested investor can profit from a severely undervalued Iraqi currency that is certain to appreciate in value in just a short time. Notice the wording. Fraudsters, not the currency, not the investment, but the fraudsters, the people who commit fraud, the criminals who use the Iraqi dinar to commit crimes. Fraudsters encouraging in the dinar scam promise that extravagant profits can be realized if the investor buys the dinar at today's value, typically 1,000 or more dinars for $1. How many of you want this freaking deal? I would love that one. Or actually, no, I wouldn't. That's not enough. We get more than that. My bad. Actually, right now, that would be a pretty good exchange rate for us. The investor then exchanges the dinar for dollars at the later date once the dinar exchange rate has improved. So the ACS Director Board cautions that foreign exchange currency trading is very risky for Main Street investors. Let me repeat that. It says cautions that foreign exchange currency trading is very risky for Main Street investors. He didn't say don't invest in the Iraqi dinar. Notice the difference. Often promoters of foreign exchange currency trading schemes, these are people who commit the scams, okay? Trading schemes, such as those involved in the Iraqi dinar, lure investors with promises of control over a large amount of foreign currency with a relatively small initial outlay. Fraudsters, not the regular investors, not the regular people who talk about it, often predict inevitable increases in the currency value, which will supposedly lead to huge returns over a short time, with little or no downside risk. According to Borg, investors should not be fooled by this promise of easy money. As with any, look at again, so here's what the thing is. So there are people out there, we know this. Those people who are lying to you are the people you got to be careful of. This is why at this channel we don't do dates and rates, and I don't mislead people. I give you the news, the good, bad, and ugly. And I also tell you guys there are other factors that we can watch that affect the Iraqi dinar. So I know everybody's waiting for an RI or an RV to be announced. I get that. And I'm not saying it won't be done, but what I'm saying is there are other factors to consider. I don't go around saying that God put it on me that this is going to be the date. Or God put it on me that once this happens, the rate change is going to happen. Or I don't go lying to my investors saying, hey, give me all your dinar serial numbers or your dinars. I'll put it in this trust fund and I can negotiate a better rate. Or I don't go telling people that the Iraqi in-country rate is different than the country rate or the rate of the currency outside of the country. Those people are scamming you. Those are the fraudsters. These are the people that discredit this actual investment. Nobody knows the date. Nobody knows the rate. You can take a lot of information and take a pretty good educated guess at it, but anybody telling you that they know for sure the date, they know for sure the rate, or that the rate has changed, or they have special connections, 800 numbers, back screens, military intelligence, special codes is all full of shit. There's no redemption centers. There's no 800 numbers. It's a currency. Now, I know right there, all those words right there just started. Man, people are heartbroken. There are other YouTubers that they watch that told them this. And they were like, oh, Pimpy don't know what he's talking about. Pimpy, yeah, well, I'm the only one out there that shows you guys the proof. Great, now you guys make me sound like another YouTuber. The point is, I'm going to show you the proof once again. So, notice the wording in here. What they're saying is that there are individuals who take the legitimate currency and they use it to scam other people. Notice again that they said that they're promising people high returns with no risk in a short time period. One of those groups is called the Sterling Group. We'll talk about them again later on. They went around claiming that they had White House connections, and they knew the date and the rate. And they made promises to people and scammed them out of millions of dollars. So the currency itself is not a scam. Investing into the Iraqi dinar is not a scam. People taking advantage of the currency to mislead and lie to people to gain from it monetarily. That's a scam. There's no rate changes that have happened except for in the wrong direction. We know they went from 1,190 Iraqi dinars for $1 and changed it to 1,450 dinars. That's the wrong direction. That is the only rate change that we've seen so far. Again, there are other factors. Not only have I been telling you that, but I'm going to prove it to you because you're going to hear from the individual that handles the IQD. You're going to listen to what he tells you is the factors involving the rate change. Yes, he does talk about the rate change. So it goes on here with good reason, okay, because people do use it as a scam. The funny thing is up here, they're saying the same thing about Bitcoin. So you see, they thought Bitcoin was a scam as well. So this is just an alert. That's all this is. Now, is the investment fake? Well, what do you think? Some of you say yes. But you know, over the years, there has been companies and news reporters encouraging people to invest in the Iraqi dinar. Yes, there has. How about the APN News? Foreign exchange market. Why you should invest in the Iraqi dinar. So it goes in here talking about the currencies and what you should know in order to invest. It also tells you what is the secret. Currency fluctuations happen to all major currencies, which means that you have to keep monitoring how currencies are exchanging in value. The secret, of course, is to buy low and then sell high. We know this. It says, here's the top 5 currencies to invest in. The US dollar, the European pound, the yen, the British pound, the Canadian dollar. Where's the dinar? Right here. Other up-and-coming currencies. There are other currencies, such as the Iraqi dinar, which is making significant impacts in the money market. For a longer period, this currency has been performing poorly. And there has been no liquidity due to the political instability in Iraq. However, everything has changed. And the current value of the Iraqi dinar stands at 0.00084. It has changed. It is now 0.00068 when compared to the US dollar. Okay? With the current political and economic stability, the value of the Iraqi dinar has been improving consistently. If you are interested in investing in an upcoming currency, you need to select the Iraqi dinar. So you have, and this article came out when? April 8th, 2019. It wasn't that long ago. It was just a couple years ago. That other article was from 2014. So they are encouraging people to what? Invest in Iraqi dinar. But this article is correct. And we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to show you what it talks about. The stability in the region is what I've been stressing for outside investors to come in. The corruption was the other issue. Now, I've showed this article before, but I'm going to show it again. Iraqi dinar for citizens granted by President Bush through Executive Order 13303 and Iraq's Coalition Provision Authority Order 39. So up here it's talking about the complaints. It says the state's 2nd District Congressman released a statement on Monday stating that his office has received numerous complaints from constituents who have purchased Iraqi dinars and couldn't use them or exchange them for other legal tenders. Now, I don't know where the hell they went. You can go take your Iraqi dinar to a legitimate currency exchange and exchange it for whatever the current rate is. Most international airports have them. Some banks used to do it. You have some malls have currency exchanges. Okay? So that part's not true. You can go right now and exchange it. If I'm not mistaken, Chase Bank has decided to they will exchange your Iraqi dinar for the current rate. I don't know if they stopped doing it, but that was just about a year and a half ago they started out. It says the dinar is not traded on any legitimate foreign exchange or is worth a fraction of the dollar. We know this isn't true. We know that it's currently on the exchanges in Iraq. We know this. Iraq's dinar has yet to be pegged to their GMP for world trade. While we know they're being expedited through the World Trade Organization's official membership, we know this. And no, it's not been, well, it's been pegged, to be quite honest with you, but partially. The federal grand jury, here we go, indicted 3 men from Toledo, Ohio area for their role in the operation of a $23 million fraud scheme involving the sale, notice this is involving, the sale of the Iraqi dinar currency to non-existing hedge funds. Investors lost $23.8 million. So you got to be careful about who you're talking to and who you're hearing from. When they can make you promises, they give you actual dates and actual rates, run. When they tell you it's being exchanged in country and hasn't done yet, run. That doesn't make no sense. Do you understand the black market? I want you to understand something. If the rate change happened in country, do you understand what type of black market we would have going on here? You can go to the United States and buy the currency dirt cheap, run over to the border, give it to a friend who can run into Iraq, exchange it for the higher exchange rate, take the money, bring it back to you, you go back to your country, buy more, and get rich that way. This is why there is no change of rate in country. It would definitely destabilize the currency. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Back in 2004, President Bush put a law into effect allowing anyone to invest in Iraq currency known as dinar. When the U.S. went to war with Iraq, the Iraq dinar, their currency, was taken off the World Monetary Exchange until their sovereignty would be given back to them. Remember, I said it's real important that Iraq get their sovereignty, and me and Jeff went back and forth over this. We know that they have pushed for their sovereignty. We know that they demand it to be respected. We know that several times we've heard the United States say Iraq must do what it can to protect its sovereignty. Basically, all that means is the country has the ability to operate on its own without anybody babysitting them, like the United Nations. Presidential Executive Order 13303 allows citizens to invest in the new Iraq. So it does. It's the same thing I read as above. But here we go. It says, the order of foreign investments in Iraq includes 5 elements: privatization of state-owned enterprises, 100% foreign ownership of a business in all sectors except oil and mineral extractions, banks or insurance companies. The latter 2 are addressed in a separate order. National treatments of foreign firms, unrestricted tax-free remittance of all funds associated with the investment, including but not limited to profits, and a 40-year ownership license, which has the option of being renewed. The one everybody focuses on is this one right here. Unrestricted tax-free remittance of all funds associated with the investment, including but not limited to profits. So over here it says the government is the largest holder of the Iraqi dinar. There's been a lot of disputes and debate over this. I was able to find articles, and I did it in other videos, that shows how much that the United States was holding. And here it says 4 trillion, but it's actually 11. It says the United States Treasury does not officially list the Iraqi dinar as part of the country's Forex reserves. Exactly how many dinars were traded is not mentioned, but it does make reference to billions of US dollars traded to Iraq. Experts speculated that the US government received nearly 4 trillion Iraqi dinar in exchange at a rate of 4,000 dinars to $1. So they gave them $1 trillion for 4 trillion. Is that, no, that's not exactly right. I botched that at big time. So yeah, our rate right now is we actually get a better rate. Is that right? No, when the number goes down, my bad, excuse me. When the number is lower, that's bad. So the United States, of course, they get a better rate. So for every $1 US, they got 4,000 Iraqi dinars. For us, if we go in, for every $1, you only get 1,450 Iraqi dinars. So they got a lot more. So the United States has already gained with the current rate. They've doubled their value because this number is more than cut in half. It's like 2.5 times. So congrats to that. Although you notice they didn't give it back to the taxpayers, not yet, because it hasn't been exchanged. For this, even close to true, the United Nations allows Iraq to revalue their currency up to $1, one Iraqi dinar. The U.S. government would stand to profit into trillions. Of course it would. As would anyone who speculated on the dinar over the years. Of course they would. Remember, Iraq does not have to pump its oil out of the ground to receive present-day wealth for it. They can simply leave the oil in the ground and write promissory notes, aka derivatives, against the unpumped assets. Like the US, they need only to crank up the digital fractional printing press, which is irrespective of the physical supply, money supply of the IQD. They still have not announced the huge oil they found in the desert. I don't know why. I'm wondering if they're just doing what they can to secure the area. We will see. But anyways, remember the Bush administration. People always say Bush said this. It wasn't Bush. You can see right here. Remember the Bush administration's statement about the Iraq war will pay for itself. It came from Paul Wolfowitz. Okay, that's who said it. That's this guy right here. It wasn't Bush. It was Paul Wolfowitz. It says there is a lot of money to pay for this that doesn't have to be the U.S. taxpayer money. And it starts with the assets of the Iraq people. We are talking about the country that can really finance its own reconstruction and relatively soon. They are one of the richest countries in the world, just like Africa is. But they're torn apart with civil unrest, war, fighting, everything else, as well as corruption. There's no stability in these countries. Iraq announced that they would remove 70% of its money supply. When was that? There's no date on there. Maybe it is. We'll see. During the 2008 oil windfall to Iraq, the central bank's aggressive policy spent... Oh, yeah, I remember this. Okay, so here's the thing. This is the first time I've actually seen any kind of percentage or amount given for this. When people were talking about the amount of Iraqi dinar that was in circulation, they said this. There's no way they can exchange their rate at $3 because they have 55 trillion on there. Do you understand? That would be, hundreds of trillions of dollars. There's no way that can happen. So I was trying to pinpoint how that could happen. This is how they did it. And we spoke about this in one of my other videos. Now I feel really vindicated by this. You see, in the Iraqi bank on their website, it tells you how much currency was created. 55 trillion dinars. But what is not put on there is how much of it was destroyed. There was a flood, and the banks had to destroy that money. How much of it was taken by ISIS and destroyed, we don't know. But in here, I did show an article in which it stated that Iraq was taking $1 to $1.5 billion of their oil money, buying back the IQD off the open market. This is great news. You see, think supply and demand. If there truly is that much Iraqi dinar out there, there's no way you could possibly do it at $3. It would bankrupt the country. But now, this is the first time I heard this. 70% of the money supply. That makes it way more realistic that a revalue can be done at that rate. The central bank's aggressive policies spent $1 billion to $1.5 billion every month in oil revenues to buy physical IQD supply on the open market. This is said by Mulder Saleh, a senior advisor to the bank. This is to maintain lever for controlling consumer prices, inflation. Now, when you go to this article, it just says the same thing, that they were using $1 to $1.5 billion every month to buy back, and I did a video on that. But what we didn't know was how much of it was actually bought back, how much was removed off of the open market. Again, take this in consideration. If they have 55 trillion dinars and you say you change the rate to US dollars at $3, they just use round numbers. Let's say there's 50 trillion, that's 150. That's one quadrillion. No, they don't have that money. It's too high of a number. But if you remove 70% of it, that brings it way down. Again, this is just what they bought and destroyed. This doesn't take in consideration there was several million dinars damaged in a flood, and then also ISIS took a lot of the money and destroyed it. Now, we also know that there is something like 95% of the supply is out of country, 5% of it is in country. I can tell you this, that the big portion of the existing IQD is in the hands of banks. So, like I thought, very little, although a lot of people talk about having IQD, how many people actually have it? The average speculator has 250,000 IQD. That's the average. That doesn't mean for those people who have millions of dollars worth, I get it. But the average investor has about 250,000 IQD. So if they remove 70% of the money supply, plus all the ones that have been damaged just through natural wear and tear, ones that were taken by ISIS, ones damaged during the flood, that means the actual amount of IQD out there is very low. So now that makes it very realistic that the IQD can indeed be revalued around $3, if not more. I'm not saying that's the rate. I'm saying now that is a more realistic rate, given the fact that we know for sure now that the amount of existing IQD has been reduced by at least a minimum of 70%. Now, remember I told you Iraq's trying to find out where the hell their money is? They don't have it there. Now you know why. They destroyed 70% of it. Floods, ISIS, plus banks have it. I did articles showing you that banks were doing currency swaps with Iraq, in which Iraq gave them IQD to hold. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $17 trillion worth. So that means this is great news, you guys. It really is. That means the amount of money in the hands of speculators is very low. Remember this, the physical supply has been reduced, the derivatives circulation has been increased by fractional banking, aka derivatives, which increases the M2 money supply. M2 is not the total supply of the physical IQD, because people always go, look at the M2 report. That's not the actual amount. Iraq defending the entire world against the U.S.-Israel proxy army, ISIS. So yeah, okay, that's something different altogether. So these are just other articles. So let me come down to here. We're going to get to this hag here in a minute. United Nations released Iraq from all sanctions to be restored to the pre-1990 international standards. Apparently, and even though the remaining $11 billion compensation is still under Chapter 7, Kuwait and Iraq agreed that it will be paid, and as such, and apparently the veracity of the Chapter 7 is no longer there to restrict Iraq with the international community. It's still on restrictions a little bit. Iraq's entire funds are now released and will contribute to Iraq starting their economic, financial, and political relations with the countries of the world without restrictions. Now, this article is not new. Since then, we've had ISIS. Remember, they established a caliphate there. and Trump sent him in and got him wiped out in 3 weeks. So again, that just brought a lot of, stability issues over there and security issues. This has been an unusual approach to the remaining 11 billion and how it will be paid. So since then, they have come up with an agreement. Kuwait has agreed to actually discount the amount of money owed big time. And now they only owe something in the neighborhood of about 500 billion IQDs. I think that's all that's left. The Iraq foreign minister on Friday reduced the importance of the Kuwaiti statement about keeping the file of compensation under Chapter 7, saying that they agreed. See, they're agreeing to keep it under Chapter 7. The Kuwait information minister that the file compensation owned by Iraq of Kuwait is still under Chapter 7, 11 billion. So anyways, it's under there. And we do not have any problem. Let's see, what are we missing? Twilight 11 shall exist. Okay. And we do not have any problem. Agreed, this is the subject and not the agreed to this subject and not controversial thread infinite. Okay. So anyways, I say the door to emphasize that Iraq went out completely and practically from the provisions of Chapter 7. So went out completely and physically. So they're saying they're out of Chapter 7. I don't remember any official announcement about Iraq being 100% out of Chapter 7. I remember several times they talked about it. So I have to look that up. One of you guys could probably let us know in the comment. Don't just say, yes, I know, I heard it from so-and-so. If you have actual proof, like an article from a legit source, then let's hear it. So Chapter 7 is probably what's restricting them from doing a whole lot. Since then, Iraq has become under the weight of economic sanctions, ended only after the fall of the former regime in 2003. We know this. The United Nations Council would welcome the draft resolution, both Iraq and Kuwait, all positive steps that have been taken by the government to fulfill its resolution 833 of 1993. Okay, so this is just them saying that, look, Kuwait and Iraq struck an agreement as far as their compensation for being invaded by Iraq. They're under Chapter 7. There was an agreed amount of damages that was done. Iraq promised to pay it back. Since then, we know for sure that Kuwait has forgiven a huge portion of that and paid most all of it. And if I'm not mistaken, they're down to like 500 billion dinars. The United Nations Security Council would recognize that the situation existing now in Iraq is significantly different from when the Saddam regime invaded Kuwait in 1990, and the importance of the Iraq achieving international standing equal to that which it held prior to that date. Then the IQD was $3.22 for every $1. I know, do the pee-pee dance. This is coming from the United Nations. They're saying this. With all things equal, that is the rate of the IQD. So down here, this person goes hurt and heal, hurt and heal. So there are some people in there. This person responded to naysayers. In their attempt to discredit the dinar, they're talking about people, naysayers, they state that the IQD are sold on misleading hype. They state, many dinar dealers refer to the value of the Iraqi dinar prior to the 1990 Kuwait invasion, dinar being at $3+ as evidence that the potential for the dinar is theoretically unlimited. The United Nations Security Council just said the exact same thing. They said it right here. So when people, the naysayers, say it can't be at that rate, they're saying right there, indeed, it can be. They, being the naysayers, they don't mention that the pre-1990 dinar has been demonetized, worthless, and that its value was arbitrarily set by an autocratic regime led by Saddam Hussein. This is an incoherent and oh my gosh, hawk statement towards pre-1990 international standings. The dinar became worthless due to war, due to being attacked by the U.S., nothing else, in the financial world can change the fact that the pre-1990 IQD was at 322 period. They, the naysayers, following the embargo, the ability of the Iraq government to manage the currency value collapsed, and it spent the next 10 years at 2 to 3,500 dinars to the US dollar. Again, another unleakable, incoherent, and hawk statement towards the pre-1990 international standings. The dinar became worthless due to war, due to being attacked by the U.S. The U.S. Council has stated it's 322. They, dump site, hit and run site, are unbelievable, incoherent, especially when they try to discredit common knowledge about Iraq's return to the pre-1990 dinars. As hype, nothing could be truer statement by a dealer than to state equal to pre-1990s, and when supported by the United Nations Security Council statement that this is a goal when they affirmative again within the draft resolution preambular part. Good Lord. To tell the anti-dinar scammer propagandists to think first meant timing and upon with the IQD released. So here's a little graph in here. It's not that big of a deal. There's other articles. So I was going to play this video, but just for the sake of time, this is Hillary Clinton in here telling everybody back in 2013 that they should invest heavily in Iraq. Iraq is going to be the fastest growing economy in the world, even faster than China over the next couple of years. But unfortunately for us, Hillary and Obama armed, trained, and funded ISIS and sent them in there and caused a lot of, once again, destabilization in the Middle East. But wait, we're not done. You see, just don't take it from this article. Let's listen to the man himself, Dr. Shabibi. Listen to what Dr. Shabibi says about the exchange rate.
My name is John Weissenring from Arlington, Virginia. With respect to the ongoing need for stability in Iraq and its exchange rate, would it not follow that there's a direct need for a potential revaluation of the currency to induce both domestic and foreign investment in Iraq? And with regard to that, how far do you believe that we are from a potential revaluation of the Iraqi currency?
Well, even if I know the answer, I cannot tell you.
You understand this? This is when people say this all the time. Well, my inside person told me. No, they didn't. This is Dr. Shabibi. This interview is older, but it's more to the point of what he says about the IQD, which is the Iraqi Dinar. I told you, do you understand in some countries, leaking this kind of information is the death penalty. No person in their right mind is going to tell you the date or the rate. It's against the law. That's like having insider trader information. But let's listen to what Dr. Shabibi says.
Well, the thing is, no, I think the question is all, you cannot have an economist saying without the answer, it depends, you know. So the question here is actually a revaluation which really is going to depend on to what extent we are going to continue, let us say, controlling inflation. As you know, I don't know if you go to the central bank law, you will see, it's in the website, you will see the first objective is maintaining price stability. So there is a little bit.
Maintaining the price stability. We see them doing it now. We see the exchange rate on the open market versus the U.S. dollar, how it's going back and forth, and how they sold more of the U.S. dollars to help stabilize the currency. So first is the stability of the currency. Now, it was stable at 1,190. Right now, it is struggling a little bit, but the banks are doing what they can to stabilize it.
A bit of inflation in Iraq. I mean, it's now, it used to be 2% or 3%, now it's about 5%.
So when the IMF and the World Bank came in and got involved with helping Iraq, Dr. Shabibi didn't like it. They did what's called a Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement said they would excuse a lot of Iraq's debt, but that they would have to implement policies and procedures given to them by the IMF and the World Bank. Dr. Shabibi said, hell no. His complaint was this, and he actually walked away from the table and had to be convinced to come back. Because Dr. Shabibi said this, their policies do a great job at lowering inflation. But it also does something else. It allows outside people, outside investors, outside countries to come in and rape the country of its resources. But most importantly, it does, their policies and procedures don't allow the Iraqi economy to grow. They purposely suppress the economy. By doing that, it does allow these globalists to come in and take advantage of a country like that. That's why I said every time you see the World Bank and IMF trying to get involved with Iraq, I'm like, hell no, don't let them in there. They always try to control what's going on in the country. So Dr. Shabibi's talking about that. He said at the time, the inflation was 2 and then 5%. It said it needed to be lowered. In 2020, the inflation rate was less than 0.5%. Is that right? Yes, it is right. So it was at one time, look at this, 53.25. And it's dropped, and this drop was 9, 3, 2, 2%. It is now at, what did I say? It is now at 0.57. So it's not even 0.5%, or it's a little over 0.5%. So this is good. That was in 2020. I'm not sure what it is now, but that is a really good rate. It's very low. That's one of the key factors, stability of the currency and inflation.
But we are watching that very carefully. If this inflation continues, we will have to revisit. It's more than revisiting, I cannot say. We are going to revisit the question of exchange rate because, I mean, revaluation, I mean, depends on inflation. Of course, I mean, you know, the other factors that determine the movement in currencies are a lot. I mean, sometimes we look at trade, I mean, exports and imports and all your obligations and the balance of payment and all these things. Definitely, no doubt, you look at those. But those are problems relating with more with the development part of the economy. The question of maintaining price stability is really something you see the inflation and all these things, because nobody else in the economy is concerned with inflation. I mean, the government, when it put its budget, I mean, the government is spender and the central bank is saver. So it's not very important for them to mention and to concentrate on inflation. So actually the question here that we are going to track and follow the development in inflation first, and of course other factors which I mentioned second, and then we will determine our exchange rate movement.
So there you have it. So again, when people say there's not going to be an RV or an RI, there are other factors. This guy asked him, look, in order for outside investors to come in, there has to be some type of change to the exchange rate. He's saying, all right. I mean, you know, the truth of the matter is I can only talk about so much of it. You can see he's very careful with his wording. You notice that? Very, very careful with the way he's talking. He has to be. He can't let anybody at all know one way or another anything about a date or a rate. So you heard the factors: stability in the currency, inflation under control. Here are the other factors: stability in the country, security in the country. Iraq has got to be a safe place for investors to invest in, or they're not going to spend their money there. Things have calmed down, plus you got to get rid of the corruption. We had the perfect person in office, Al-Kadhimi. He's done a world of great things. He's stopped a lot of the corruption. But now, for some reason, he is not running again. Thank God Saleh is running for president, and he's got the support of most everybody. But it's disappointing that Al-Kadhimi himself is not running. I think we were really at a I think we're really close at one time. So we'll see. Whoever the new person is, hopefully they will pick up the mantle from Al-Kadhimi and continue to go. So the currency itself is not a scam. The investment is not a scam. There are individuals out there who use the currency to commit fraud against other individuals. That's the scam. Is there going to be an RI or an RV? It's possible. We've heard many different things telling us that it's real and it will happen. I'm saying it's possible. But I'm looking at other factors that help me determine whether or not that currency is going to go up. Economical factors. And you hear me talk about them in the news. So you guys feel good about your investment. You should. But also limit your risk. In other words, don't go out there and go all willy-nilly buying millions and millions and millions and millions of dinars. Me, I only have 5 million. I set goals. People freak out. They're like, wow, you only have 5? Yeah, that's it. You see, it's not whether or not the IQD is a scam. We know it's not. It's the probability of an RI or an RV that we're actually betting on. What are the odds that it will actually happen? Well, you just heard all the different factors that affect whether or not an RV happens or any type of increase in the value of the dinar. So there you go. Feel happy about it, you guys. We just dealt with a lot of what the naysayers are, or for those individuals who are kind of on the, straddling the fence. They're not sure one way or another whether they've made a smart choice. Feel good about your choice. Okay, it's not a scam. When the UN Council even says the real value is 322. When Dr. Shabibi said, look, we know the RV has to happen, but RVs are revalued. Does not necessarily mean it will go to $3.22. See, the Security Council is talking about a RI, which is a reinstatement. What they're saying is the rate should be reinstated to its pre-1990s. Dr. Shabibi is talking about a revaluation, which means an increase in the value of the currency, but that's not the same as a reinstatement. So how much that revaluation is, it really depends. Look, Iraq is one of the richest nations in the world, just like Africa. But years and decades of corruption, destabilization, war has really affected the currency. I'm excited to learn for the first time exactly how much of the currency was destroyed, because I could not really make a case for a $3 rate because it made no sense. They couldn't afford it if there was $55 trillion of dinars out there outstanding. 70% of them destroyed. That could be handled, especially since the banks hold on to most of it. Not very many speculators have it. So congratulations. Just hang tight. There's no promises. There's no guarantees. I feel confident in the dinar. That's why I talk about it. That's why I have it. Just be careful about who you talk to and who you listen to. There is no in-country rate change. I give you the news, good, bad, and ugly. Don't shoot the messenger. Feel good about this investment. I just showed you all the proof you needed that holding on to the dinar is the right decision. That's it for now. You guys hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.